Now we're going to work on making our corrections. Since the concentric and the coincident are the two highlighted, let's take a look at what is going on with them. Alright, so I see edge and edge, where on the other side I did concentric and coincident. The edge, when that edge gets larger than that edge, they're no longer, no longer be coincident or concentric. So, what do you want to do? Let's go ahead with the concentric, and I'm just going to clear the selections on those. So if we right click in that general area, I should be able to select other, and there's one face, and I'm not entirely sure I'm going to get the other face. So one of the things we can do in the assembly is if I hit the tab, well, if I hit the tab and I'm not in a command, so let's see if I can select other. Again, no. How about if we zoom way up? Now, so the concentric, and I'm really not sure if I got the body of the part, so how about we tab? No. So we're just going to have to pre-select. So if I have to, we delete, and then that will rotate. And the concentric is still there, so pretty much let's go ahead and select that face, and then I should be able to hit the tab button and that disappears. And if I grab that one and go into mate, I didn't keep it, so control tab, no, shift tab. I want to do shift tab, but we're back into that can't pick. So since that's not working, well, let's go back to the base. We got the little flyout up here. Alright, when I come down to the base, I can show it there. Alright, so I just have to find the workarounds. I'll go ahead and pick and hit OK. Alright, so it was just that one mate, that one concentric mate edge to edge that could no longer line up. So that's kind of my preference of concentric from face to face and coincident face to face. Edges are okay, but if we have a problem, it's usually going to be because of an edge or a point. Alright, so some of the other tools that we're going to be able to look at are interference detections. So calculated, exclude components. Let's see. Alright, so if we treat a coincidence as an interference, pretty much everything that we stack up except for the two where we created the gaps are going to line up. Ignore interference, show ignored interferences, treat as subassembly as a component, include multi-body part. Alright, so we haven't created any multi-body parts just yet. Fasteners, matching cosmetic threads, ignore hidden bodies components, and use current. So let's just do a calculate. And right now it's showing no interferences. If we treat the coincident, results may be affected, so we will calculate. And now it's going to show me everywhere that there is contact with coincident, it's going to treat it as an interference. Technically they're touching, but it's not a defined gap. Okay, and then we can go to clearance verification between selected components. So we'll grab those two since I'm pretty sure I put a gap in there. And what are we looking for? Let's see if we get a tooltip pop up there. Minimum acceptable clearance. Well, 10 millimeters. How about 0.1? And then let's calculate it. Alright, so one clearance, the base to the pin. And if I highlight, then there is an actual clearance of 0.1. Let's make that 1 millimeter and calculate and see if it goes away. Alright, and let's see, I had 0.02 in there, so what happens if I go to 0.01? Well, it's still showing up. and the base to the pin. Check clearance between selected items, and the rest of the assembly. Okay, well, it gives us another tool. I have to look at the logic on that one a little bit more. And then we can always go into measure. And if I measure, well, we zoom up enough. And let's see, something's not, there we go, we'll expand that out. Diameter of 10 millimeters. And if I can find the other side, and that's going to be, I don't think I left. Well, let's see if I, no, I didn't suppress it, so it's still in there. So let's go with a tab. We'll just highlight that and go 10.04. So there's our clearance. Just a little bit of clearance to make that work, and then we can right click and show. Alright, so tools, mask properties then, since we're here. The origin of the assembly is the location that these numbers are going to be taken from. If we need another number, then, or another location, then we would have to pick it. So based on materials, none specified, we have 94.93. At one time it was 1 gram per cubic millimeter, which is water as a default, and volume is 94.93 cubic millimeters. So if we were to move those over, that would be about right for 1 gram per cubic centimeter. So 1 cc. I think I said that wrong. Anyway, center of mass at position X, Y, Z, and the moments of inertia, because of kind of our overhanging assembly here, puts the moment kind of pointed that way. So it gives us some information. We'll do a coordinate system and adjust that a little bit later. The two main ones we're going to use are mask properties and measure. Markup has been added in the last couple. So here we're looking at a note, and we'll point in the check shaft clearance or something, and that gives us maybe not quite that big. Let's make sure everything's highlighted, not that big, and go ahead and accept it. So if I place that, now I rotate out. Gotta trying to escape, and it requires an OK. Alright, so we rotate out. As we rotate back into that view, it's going to highlight, and then it's going to kind of disappear, and as we're rotating, be able to see it. Alright, so markups can be kind of handy as a reminder. Another method is going to be if I right click and pick the appearances within the assembly, I could highlight this as the face, and we pick a color, something that's very pronounced, and say, you know, we're looking at that that surface, or as a reminder, I want to come back to that at some point and revisit it. And what I'm trying to forget then was the drawing where we had all of this extra. So that is a configuration, an alt location. So when I do the alt position, when I see the alt position, they're all in there. So we can go with tab and hide, but we're going to be better off suppressing. Now, suppression in our hierarchy says that they are there, but they do not participate in anything like those mask properties or any other calculations. Where hide will, just like they're there, but they're hiding, And when we do our mask properties, they're not going to be included. So if I did a real quick check, let's see, how would I do that? Let's just go with the mask properties. We have 91.82, and if I come back here and I unsuppress, and we do a mask property, now I'm at 123. So all of those are in place, and even if I hide those, right, if I come over and hit tab and hit tab and hit tab, when I go back into the mask properties, I'm going to get the 123.15. I have to come down. Now let's go ahead and show them so I don't mess that up when I try to come back to it. And then suppress. By suppressing, they are there, they're in the background, but they don't participate in any of the other engineering data.